summer, and we should all be on a beach chugging margaritas, only thinking about how we're gonna clean the sand out of our butts when we get home. But unfortunately, tonight we have to talk about Jeffrey Epstein, which makes me feel like I just poured a bunch of sand back into my butt. So before we get into it, let me share with you a few genuinely funny things about this monster that have nothing to do with his crimes. One, this social climbing loser had a robust collection of Harvard sweatshirts, despite the fact that he didn't go to Harvard. Even Elle Woods was like, okay, fine, I'll just study. Second, mounted on the wall next to his bathtub, he had prosthetic boobs, like for him to play with. And they didn't even dispense shampoo and conditioner. They're nowhere near as practical as my penis-shaped body wash pump. And third, he was briefly a high school teacher at Dalton in the 70s, where he apparently couldn't spell his own last name. And you went to Harvard? Oh, no, wait, you didn't. There is some good news. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. Unfortunately, he should have already been in prison for decades.
Billionaire Jeffrey Epstein arrested. Sources tell CNN that a sealed indictment contains new charges relating to alleged sex crimes involving minors.
The disgraced financier is charged with trafficking dozens of underage girls.
Investigators, when they entered Epstein's home on his Upper East Side mansion, they found what they call a vast trove of lewd photos. Thousands of nude photos depicting underage girls, they believe. And then there was a third CD which said, "Girl pick nudes."
Every part of this story is disturbing, but let's talk about how Jeffrey Epstein labeled his child porn "girl pics nudes." I know Jeffrey Epstein is evil, but is he also stupid? Even I hide all my favorite literotica stories in a folder labeled taxes. I also hide my tax returns in a folder labeled literotica. It's a very secure system. Only a man who really doesn't care would surround himself with evidence like that. Jeffrey Epstein allegedly assaulted dozens of children. My lawyers made me say allegedly. They didn't tell me how to say it. Jeffrey Epstein assaulted dozens of children. Allegedly. I'm so glad that he was finally arrested, but how in the name of baby Satan did it take this long? Police started investigating Epstein for molesting young girls in 2005. That is 14 years ago. Jeffrey Epstein's flouting of justice is now old enough to be molested by Jeffrey Epstein. How did he get away with it for this many years? With a little help from his friends. Tonight, we're going to talk about them. We'll start with our recently departed labor secretary and assistant to Dr. Frankenstein, Alex Acosta. In 2005, police in South Florida began investigating Epstein after a woman reported that her 14-year-old stepdaughter had been molested in his home. Eventually, the FBI and the Southern District of Florida's U.S. Attorney's Office became involved with the case, resulting in the discovery of about 36 victims in a 53-page indictment that was probably titled, "Oh my fucking God, how is this asshole still free?" In 2007, then Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta oversaw negotiations for a plea agreement with Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. Being a Florida prosecutor, you can bet your bottom dollar that Acosta got Epstein the harshest punishment possible, right?
Federal investigators had identified at least 36 girls and were still building their case when suddenly, in 2008, Epstein made a sweetheart deal. This non-prosecution agreement allowed him to plead guilty to a lesser charge, just 2 prostitution charges in a state court, and register as a sex offender. He would serve just 13 months in county jail.
13 months? That is even more disgusting than watching Epstein fondle his own neck waddle. Trigger warning. Oh, God, no, I did it backwards. Sorry. 13 months is nothing. But apparently Acosta still thought it was too harsh for Florida's fanciest pedophile because he allowed Epstein to leave jail 6 days a week. Now, I'm no lawyer, but if you can leave whenever you want, it isn't fucking jail. It's a taxpayer-funded Holiday Inn. But Acosta isn't the only one responsible for Epstein's featherlight sentence. There were other people who had an interest in making the charges go away.
The deal also granted immunity to any potential co-conspirators. None of those people were identified, leaving many to wonder if other powerful people were having sex with underage girls at Epstein's homes.
Let me clear it up for you. They did. The deal was negotiated partly by Harvard lawyer and part-time Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark illustration, Alan Dershowitz. Dershowitz was himself accused of sexually assaulting minors he met through Epstein, which means that the deal could have benefited him. Wow. Helping to get OJ off wasn't even the worst thing he ever did. Cool. Despite what they say now, anyone who associated with Epstein knew he was a creep. In the words of Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. For example, if someone has a private plane nicknamed the Lolita Express that flies to a place nicknamed Pedophile Island, stay the fuck off that plane. Wow, Maya, very good advice. Well, you know who didn't take that advice? Plenty of creeps who flew on the Lolita Express, like billionaire Ron Burkle, who has his own private jet called Air Fuck One, and Kevin Spacey, fresh off K-Pax fame, and let's not forget Bill Clinton, who took at least 26 trips on jet. Blech. Now, to be clear, no one has accused Ron Burkle or Bill Clinton of assaulting underage girls. You can sleep easy knowing that Bill Clinton has still only been accused of raping a grown-up. But surrounding himself with the rich and powerful is no doubt part of how Epstein stayed untouchable for so long. By looking the other way on Epstein's blatantly demonic nature, Clinton lent him an aura of respectability, like how Helen Mirren has a part in the Fast and Furious movies. I smell Oscar. And of course, no segment about a rapist is complete without mentioning our current predator-in-chief. In a 2002 New York Magazine interview, Trump mentioned his fondness of Epstein, saying, quote, "It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Just as a general rule, every time Trump compliments a guy for his taste in women, we should immediately begin the investigation process. And finally, let's talk about how a failed high school math teacher managed to get rich enough to afford a plane on an island and fill them with kids. One man seems to have a lot to do with it.
Now, one of Epstein's biggest clients for years was the CEO of L Brands, which owns Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works, billionaire Les Wexner.
Of course, the owner of a company that sells torture devices disguised as bras is involved in this. Even though Epstein was allegedly managing money for billionaires, Leslie Wexner was his only known client for more than a decade, and no one seems to know what kind of client. There's little evidence that Epstein was the kind of high-powered financial trader he claimed to be, but his high-flying, pervy lifestyle might not have been possible without Wexner. Epstein's plane, the Lolita Express, was a hand-me-down from Wexner, and in 2011, Wexner gave his New York City mansion to Epstein for $0. That is insane! This is New York City! This crawl space with 4-foot ceilings is $750 a month! There is so much I didn't have time to get into here, like Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's BFF/alleged pimp, and my new least favorite woman just edging Eva Braun, or the amazing work of Miami Herald journalist Julie Brown, who's been pursuing this story for 2 years. I looked at this story for a week and I literally had to eat antacids for breakfast. She must have guts of steel. Epstein's victims faced off with a man whose cronies included billionaires, government officials, a prince, and 40% of living presidents. And they spoke out anyway. They are my goddamn heroes. And this time, they will win.